Hello everyone, welcome to the lesson. My name is Michelle, and in this lesson we are looking at the differences between words still, already and yet. What are the differences between their meanings? Do they mean the same thing? No, they don't. They have very different meanings. Join me in this lesson to learn the differences. So first of all, we are going to look at the word still. Before we get on to the sentences, let's find out what does still mean. So still means that we are talking about something that has continued up till the present, okay? So maybe something started in the past and it has continued until the present. So something that continues to the present. Okay, so what is it that has continued to the present? Let's find out by reading the first sentence. He still hasn't said sorry. Okay, so maybe there's this person who committed a mistake. Another person was expecting him or her to say sorry for a very long time. But since the moment they were expecting that person to say sorry until now, that person has not yet said sorry. So this is when you could use he still hasn't said sorry. So they started to expect it in the future and the person has not yet done it. So as I told you that it's used for something that started in the past and continues until the present. Now let's see how to use it in a sentence, alright? What's the correct place of this word? He still hasn't said sorry. Alright, so where is the verb in this sentence? The main verb of the sentence is hasn't, alright? It's the main verb. And still always comes before the main verb, okay? So still would always come before the main verb. It would be absolutely wrong to say he hasn't still said sorry, okay? That wouldn't be the right sentence. So make sure that you put the still before the main verb in the sentence. Okay, now let's look at the next sentence that we have. They were still living in London. Okay, now here starts the confusion. So the main verb in the sentence is living. But we have another verb in this sentence which is the helping verb and that is were. Okay, this is the helping verb and we also call it the auxiliary verb. It's a form of is, was, were, okay, a form of be. Right, so here we say they were still living in London. So just like the previous sentence, okay, still comes before the main verb here, before the main verb, but it comes after the helping verb. So if there is no helping verb in the sentence, you don't need to be confused and you can simply say, he still hasn't said sorry. However, if there is a helping verb in the sentence, then it will be between the helping verb and the middle verb. Main verb, which would be they were still living in London. All right. Now let's look at the third example that we have got, and that is she lives with her mother still. So now here we have changed the position of still entirely, okay? It has no relationship with the main verb, which is lives. Rather, this word comes at the end of the sentence. So is it incorrect? No, it's not incorrect. You can use this formation, but it's just that this is very informal and you would not find this formation very often while you're reading or listening to someone. So this is very formal and not commonly used. Right. Now let's look at the next word that we have for the day and that is yet. So I haven't read the document yet. Before we get on to the usage, we'll again find out the meaning of the word yet. So yet is used when something has not happened up to the present, all right? When something has not happened up to the present. Okay. So we were expecting something to happen, but it has not happened yet. All right. So where do we use yet? Do we use it in positive sentences, affirmative or normal sentences? As you can notice that we have not in the meaning itself, therefore even when we use it mostly in negative sentences because we are talking about something that has not happened. So let's read the first one. I haven't read the document yet, all right? So here we are using it in the end, okay? And we are also using it in a negative sentence, which means that till now something has not been done, okay? So you always use it in a negative sentence. For something that has not yet happened. You're still waiting. When will it happen? When will it happen? And as you've seen, you can see it in all the 4 sentences except the last one. We'll come to that later. We generally use yet at the end of a sentence. So be it a normal sentence, okay, which is a full stop. We have a full stop, so it's a normal sentence. But here we have a question mark, right? So whether it's a question or an answer, we always have yet at the end of a sentence. Now let's look at the next one that we have. This is a question. Is the doctor here yet? So here we are using yet to ask a question. This is another usage of yet. We often ask it for a question. And this is the simple present tense, so you can use it for the simple present tense. If we climb back to the previous sentence, we see that this sentence is in the present perfect. I haven't read the document yet. So this is in the present perfect sentence. So you'll often hear Britishers say it like this, but Americans don't really love have, so they generally remove it, okay? And they use the simple past instead. They'd say, I didn't read the document yet, which means the same thing. So if you hear an American, they'll say, I didn't read the document yet. But the statement always remains negative because we are talking about something that has not happened so far. The third one that we have is, have you done your homework yet? Okay, now this is another way of asking a question, but in the present perfect. So as I told you, a Britisher would ask you, have you done your homework yet? But what would an American ask you? He would use the simple past to ask you the same question. He'd say, did you do your homework yet? Okay, so did you do your homework yet in the present past simple tense with yet at the end of the question. Now coming back to the last one. He hasn't yet received the document, right? So the difference here is that we do not use yet at the end of the sentence, but we use it here, right before the main verb. So this kind of formation is also very unusual and very formal, just like this one. She lives with her mother still. The same way, he hasn't yet received the document is very formal, and you would possibly hear a higher authority saying that to you. As the sentence also says, the question. So he hasn't received the document. He hasn't yet received the document, which is very formal. Okay. Now we come over to the next one that we have for the day, and that is already. So what is the meaning of already? Can we use already in place of yet? We use yet when something has not happened until the present time. But we use already when something has happened in the present, before the expected time. So you were expecting something to happen, but it happened before the expected time. So when something happens before the expected time. Or when something happens before present. So you can say, I have already seen that movie. Okay. Now, as far as the usage is concerned, already is a combination of still and yet. Okay. As we use still before the main verb in a positive sentence, the same way we use already before the main verb in a positive sentence. Before the main verb. And have is the helping verb here. Okay. The next one that we have is, have you finished your homework or have you finished your work already? Now this is a question, all right, and this is going to be very different from the first one because here we do not have already in the middle of the sentence, but rather we have already in the end of a sentence. So we have already at the end of the question. So as you can see, we put already in the middle of a sentence, but at the end of a question. And already means that something has happened before present or before the expected time, as you can read it. I have already seen that movie. So maybe you're talking to your friend who wants to go to see a movie, okay? They want to go for a movie with you and they suggest a movie, but you say, okay, no, I've already seen that movie. Let's see another one. Which means that you have seen the movie before the moment of speaking. Okay, so here we have covered all the three, still, yet, and already. We know how to use them and we also know their meaning. So what are you waiting for? Use them and I hope that all the confusion is solved for you. Thank you so much for staying with me. Bye-bye.